Right. So the first thing is, I think businesses need to realize that sustainability is no longer a fad, right? I mean, there is of course one angle which is climate change and saving the planet, but sustainability as a value is important even for the corporate, and that really has to start from the top, from the CEO and the board, that this is an important part of the way we do our business. Increasingly, what happens is the more sustainable companies, they can attract different kinds of consumers. If you look at most of the Gen Z consumers, the people in their 20s, they are actually looking for companies which practice sustainability, right? And they want to buy products from them. So it makes business sense from that reason. Many banks and financial institutions are providing more favorable terms if your ESG scores are good, right? So I think the first thing is there needs to be a realization that this is good for the planet, also good for us as a business. And that is when the change can start, and it has to be driven top down from the CEO and the board. Right. See, the first part is really measuring where you are on the emissions, right? Because what you can measure, only on that you can act and do something about it. So the first thing that technology can actually help you do is get a good measure of where do you stand with your emissions, right? Scope 1 and Scope 2 are, I would say, still relatively easy. The tricky bit is Scope 3. How do you go up and down your supply chain, see what is coming from your key suppliers, what is happening to your products, post their useful life, your disposal, I think that is the more complicated bit, and which is where I think technology and, solutions like ours can help, because they actually help the company measure its total carbon footprint, including Scope 3, right? And maybe it's not that accurate to start with, but it sets you on the journey. And then obviously, as you get more data, your suppliers get entwined in the process, it becomes more accurate, right? The measurement is only one part of it. Then technology can actually help you, define science-based targets that you are going for, and do a what-if analysis or a forecasting, saying, out of all the levers that I have, which are the ones I need to tweak to meet my target? Is it just about reducing business travel and doing more meetings on Zoom? Is it, in the case of manufacturing companies, which incidentally are among the most evolved ones, is it really about changing the basic raw material that we use in our products and switching to more sustainable raw materials? So I think all of that what-if analysis also the technology can help you do. So first is measurement, then setting targets, and then creating an action plan out of it. So maybe let me spend a minute on our own journey, right? So we are now what, a $31-32 billion company, very big. And in September 2021, we declared ourselves net zero on residual emissions. All our data centers are now using 100% renewable energy. And to go back to my earlier point, I think this really became possible because it is something that Mark Benioff, our founder, passionately believes in. And we've been driving towards that. The net zero cloud really was born out of our own efforts in becoming a net zero company. So all the technology that we ourselves used to drive our journey to net zero, it's been packaged up into the net zero cloud. I mean, and it's a very new offering, right? It's less than 3 years since we rolled it out globally. In India, we've officially launched it only about 6 months ago, beginning of this financial year. So the net zero cloud is really packaging all our learnings into the actual technology that we use to become net zero. So this has all the stuff that I spoke about, right? From the science-based target setting to the carbon accounting, measuring Scope 3. Now we have evolved it to even cover not just emissions but other aspects. Normally in ESG, all the focus is on E. There isn't enough focus on S and G, right? On the social and the governance. So now we have added dashboards which actually help you measure those as well. And it's really built on the Salesforce low-code platform, so it uses the same technology as the rest of our clouds. But interestingly, it has if you look at it, very little to do with CRM. You know, this is a different topic, and it's really born out of, I think, our own passion in this subject. And I think you would have learned that sustainability became our 5th core value as well. So that Net Zero Cloud is nothing but a product which is now offered to all our customers to help them in their journey. So I'll tell you, as Salesforce, we take our responsibilities very seriously, and we have been a very active member of a number of initiatives, you know, undertaken either by the World Economic Forum or, you know, other entities to come up with a climate action plan. And I'll give you a couple of examples of what we are doing, you know, beyond ourselves becoming net zero. So there is an organization, I don't know if you've heard of it, called 1t.org. Okay, this is really about planting 1 trillion trees globally by 2030. And Salesforce is one of the founding members of the 1t.org, because we believe it's important not just to reduce carbon emissions, it is as important to sequester the carbon, and the only and probably the best way of sequestering the carbon is to have more trees which basically absorb the carbon. So we are a founding member of 1t.org. Along with the support of the World Economic Forum, we created a portal for ecopreneurs called Uplink. This is, to put it simply, it's like a crowdfunding platform through which entrepreneurs who are doing something in this space can raise funding. So it's a platform through which, you know, they can talk about what they're doing and you know, use the crowdfunding platform. Salesforce Ventures itself, we have something called a Salesforce Impact Ventures Fund. So where we are actually directly investing money in enterprises which we believe are doing very important work to combat climate change. So those are some of the things that we are doing directly outside of, you know, our own emissions. Yeah, so as I said, you know, 2 of them are these. Apart from that, we also work with a lot of policy makers on regulations and policies. So we try to, you know, provide our input to you know, policies as they evolve in this space. The other thing which I could speak about we are doing is, we are also one of the early participants in something called a blue carbon initiative, right? And our goal is to purchase 1 million tons of blue carbon credits, and that's equivalent to about $10 million. So that's another way where we are directly contributing beyond the company to this whole initiative.